All right, so now that I have this guy finished, the next step would be to add the shadow. Depending on where my light source is, I'm going to kind of check it out, and I see that my leaf has, and depending on how crinkly some of yours are too, they might have really interesting shadows. But I wonder if I can get a better shadow like this. Yeah, there we go. We can see it a little bit better. There, well, I'll keep it on. There's a shadow on mine from where I'm standing, running here, underneath here, kind of around this part, and then around this part of my leaf. So at first I want to kind of identify where they are, and then I want to take a clean bucket of water. Emphasis on clean. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. Well, everybody can get new water if you want, if you're following along at home or here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to do this with me, you want to make sure that yours is completely dry too. So if yours isn't dry, just go ahead and watch, and then wait for yours to be dry or blow dry it. Don't blow dry it right now, but when I'm done, you can. All right. So now that most of you have clean water, I'll move on. I'm going to look here, and with my clean water and a small brush, I'm just going to paint water everywhere where there's a shadow, and I'm going to let that brush up against or butt up to my painting. And I'm going to do this kind of in sections because I know that my water will dry before I have a chance to do all of this well. So right now I'm just working on this shadow here, and then the shadow that's right to the right of my stem. And I'm just creating a path for my water to go. We want nice soft edges with this shadow, and we kind of want to exaggerate the softness of our shadow. Artistic licensure, we want to kind of make this look a little bit more painterly than it actually appears, or at least I do. I'm going to look at my shadow and quickly determine what color I need, and a lot of times it's that color that you mixed up that's like a combination of all of your pieces or all of your pigments, but it's really, really light. If you didn't do that, that's okay. You can just take a couple of drops from each one of your pans and then mix that up in the center. The center is a great spot to create a shadow. A lot of times shadows are a little bit warmer, or cooler rather, just kind of depending on the light source. So once you get a color that's kind of in the ballpark, and again, it doesn't have to be exact, and you've added water to it, you're just going to lead that color into that trail that you've made. And if you've done it right, you can just kind of push it along, and then you notice that there's kind of those nice soft edges like here. I can always add more water too. Pay attention, the closer the leaf is to the piece of paper, the darker the shadow will be, but since this is up a little bit, I want to make my shadow a little bit lighter here. Try not to go into it very much. You can do it a little bit. You don't want your shadow to be any darker than your actual leaf. You want it to be lighter, so here I'm just kind of pulling some of this pigment out and lightening it, and then I know that I'm going to add some water here to make this a little bit lighter. I'm going to go around, hopefully this is still damp, it is. I'm going to go around this part of my leaf, and that just kind of fades off, which is nice. Go around that part. Then I see that nice neutral color worked well. It doesn't take attention away from my leaf, but it kind of gives it a sense of place without having to do this entire background. I also see that there's shadows on this side. Yeah, this is working. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to paint where the shadow is. And I notice here it's a lot darker, at least from my view, the closer it is to the leaf. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to use a little bit darker concoction of paint and paint really close to the leaf and then let it fade out. All right, now when we're getting further away from it, I'm going to take some of this not as dark stuff and then kind of fade it out. Painting that first coat helps these shadows be soft. You don't want really hard edges. You want them to be kind of an afterthought. So I'm just going to do it one more time up here and then add my shadow color. And that should do it. I don't really see any shadows anywhere else. I might want to go up and retouch some of them. Like I see that this part of the shadow is a little bit darker while it's still damp. I could use a brush with just water to kind of fade that edge. Not reworking things too much with watercolor. I never regret leaving something alone with watercolor. In my experience, I always regret going back and reworking it to death. But that's just kind of how I am with all my art. So maybe you're like that too. But especially with watercolor, just leave it. Do the best that you can. Acknowledge when something's not working, and then kind of let it go. All right. So now it kind of looks like it's like floating, which is neat. We have different tones here, different shades. And having the shadow kind of feather out lets it look decently realistic. So that's that. I'll put these 3 videos on Google Classroom. If you missed anything or if you want to rewatch it, you'll be able to access it from your phones. But in a nutshell, that's everything you need to know for the upcoming project.